Hi friends, how are you today? My name is Bailey Sarian, and today is Monday, which means it's Murder, Mystery, and Makeup Monday. Hi. If you're new here, hi, my name is Bailey. How's it going? And on Mondays, I sit down and I talk about true crime story that's been heavy on my noggin, and I do my makeup at the same time. Just to keep my hands busy, you know? If you're interested in true crime and you like makeup, I would say subscribe, because I'm here for you on Mondays. Hi friends, just popping in here really quick to mention today's sponsor, Rocket Money. Look, I was having one of those days, where like everything was just bothering me. You know how that is. And then I found something that just really pushed me over the edge. I was being charged every month for some random streaming service I don't even use anymore. I was like, that's it. And I realized I had signed up for like a free trial to watch one show months ago, and I haven't touched it since. They always get me with the free trials, okay? And then I forget about it. Next thing you know, I'm paying for stuff I don't even use. And the worst part is trying to cancel it. Well, thankfully, that's where Rocket Money comes in to help. Rocket Money is the app you need to save more and manage your money better. This personal finance app allows you to manage subscriptions, lower bills, build a custom budget, and grow your savings all in one place. I love using Rocket Money to help cancel all sorts of subscriptions. Cancel them all. Rocket Money safely and securely identifies reoccurring charges, and they help you cancel unwanted subscriptions so you don't have to. You can even cancel from within the app. You just a couple of the taps on the phone, bleep, blop, bloop, boom. It's done. No need to call, customer service or any of that. If you feel like you can't get your monthly bills under control, Rocket Money is here to help you budget. So you can analyze your spending habits to create a custom budget that works with your lifestyle. You can also automatically monitor your spending by category and get notifications when you've exceeded your limits. So with these features, Rocket Money has helped save its customers up to $740 a year with over 500 million in canceled subscriptions. To save more and spend less, join the over 5 million members using Rocket Money today. Go to rocketmoney.com/Sarian or click the link in the description to get started for free. That's rocketmoney.com/Sarian to get started for free. Now let's get back to today's story. A few things before we get started. One, I got a new microphone. Does it sound good? Let me know down below. I think it sounds good, but I want to know what you know. Okay. And second of all, if you're ever curious to know what products I'm using, I do list them down in the description box. But other than that, I'll get into today's story because this guy, he sucks. So I've been seeing a lot about this guy lately because it's a fairly new situation he just got his trial just went through and all that. His sentencing is coming up, and I've seen a lot of people talking about him because some of you all think that this man, this disgusting killer, is hot. People are like, oh my god, he's so hot. And it's like, just because he has his hair slicked back and some tattoos, people think he's hot. And it's like, you guys, get some standards, okay? You can do better than a killer. Okay, all right, great. With that being said, we're talking about this guy. His name is Wade Steven Wilson. All right, I'm going to the doctor's today, so I think I'm gonna do a kind of natural look. Not that you care, but I'm just letting you know. Natural for me. I don't want to look too crazy. I mean, we'll see though, because that's always my intention, and the next thing you know, cake face. It happens every time. Anyways, today we're talking about this guy named Wade Steven Wilson. He was also called the Deadpool Killer because his name is identical to that of the fictional anti-hero Deadpool, whose real name is also Wade Wilson. Now, what are the odds of that, huh? Now, Deadpool, if you don't know, is a character from Marvel Comics, and this character is known for his chaotic, unpredictable nature, and he has a tendency toward violence. And to be fair, in a more humorous and exaggerated comic book fashion. It's supposed to be funny. The media likely used this moniker because of the name, obviously, right? His name, and the violent nature of Wade Steven Wilson's crimes. Now, unlike the fictional Deadpool, Wade Steven Wilson's actions were very real and devastating. Leading to tragic outcomes for his victims. So, let me tell you about this guy, Wade Steven Wilson. Now, his story begins on May 20th, 1994. His father, he was just like a teenager. I think he was 14 or 15 years old when he learned that his girlfriend was pregnant with Wade. And, they're young. So Wade's birth mom, I guess she had struggled with mental illness and possibly like addiction. So it was just like a rough start for Wade, that is. But Wade's path had changed when he was adopted by Candy and Steve Wilson. I guess like they were a super kind couple. They attended church with his birth mother. I think that's probably how they found each other, like his birth mom and the adopted parents. So Wade gets adopted. And as a child, they said Wade, he seems like any other kid. He liked to play sports, he attended church, and he did really well in school. His parents remembered him as a good kid with a promising future. But we're here. So what happened? Well, I guess when Wade, approached his teenage years, a lot of things started to change. So around the age of 13, Wade started showing troubling signs of like mental instability. So he started to become reclusive, he was paranoid, he was moody, and, whenever he would go to school, he would cause disruptions in class. He was that kid. So his family, they're seeing these changes, and it's concerning to them. I don't have like great examples here, but it was concerning enough that they wanted to get him mental health care because they believed that he like really needed it. But Wade, being the teenager that he was, he didn't want it. He didn't want the help. So when he was like 15 or 16 years old, the family, they felt like they had no other option but to invoke the Baker Act. So this is a Florida law, and it's officially known as the Florida Mental Health Act of 1971. And this allows for emergency mental health services and temporary detention for individuals who are unable to determine their need for treatment due to mental illness. I mean, this is just my own personal opinion. I don't know. It must have been concerning enough for them to get him this type of help. So as a part of this act, Wade was held for no more than 72 hours to assess his mental state. And then they go from there. They either give you more treatment, they give you medication, they give you whatever. But they determine in those 72 hours what's wrong. Now, it's possible that these mental health issues were actually made worse by drug use. It's believed he started dabbling with, the hoo-haws, whatever the hoo-haws are. It's also believed that the changes in Wade's mental health may have been influenced by several concussions he got while he was playing sports, and then it was made worse when he started doing drugs. So it was not the right combination for him. So in 2012, after turning 18, Wade, he decided to reconnect with his biological father. His name's Stephen Testaseca. I tried, but his name is Stephen. And he lived in Lakeland, Florida. So they get in touch, and they kind of stay in touch on and off for like the next few years. But it doesn't really seem like they got like that close. But regardless, they were in touch. He reconnects with his dad. He's an adult now, which sucks because now when he's getting in trouble, he's getting like arrested and building a record, During this time, Wade got into trouble with the law several times for theft of property and even assault. I was trying to find out more information about this because I was like, this is kind of bizarre, but I don't know. Wade's adopted parents, they challenged these charges, and they ended up taking it to court, and they won their case, which led to Wade's charges being dropped. So Wade, I guess also during this time, he has a daughter, but there's really not much else known about that. So in late 2018, Wade started dating a woman named Kelly in Palm Beach County, Florida. Now, it was said that Wade, he's tall, he's handsome, he's charismatic, and he has tattoos. He has a lot of tattoos. And at this time when they started dating in 2018, they weren't that noticeable. They weren't what you see now, So he was attractive, and it was easy to like the guy. So Kelly, I guess she knew him by his middle name, which was Steven. And they seemed happy at first. The first few months are going great. They end up moving in together and living in Lake Worth, Florida, and everything seemed fine. And she said that there seemed to be no red flags. That is, until Wade was arrested in January of 2019 for grand theft and dealing in stolen property. So there's your red flag, girl. After his release from jail, I guess Wade and Kelly got back together, but things like quickly went downhill. Wade, he started using drugs, I think specifically like at first cocaine, which Kelly at the time, she like didn't realize at first that he was using drugs because she didn't have any experience with drugs. She didn't use drugs herself. She said that like in the past she tried marijuana, but like it wasn't a fun experience. She had a panic attack, so she just kind of never dabbled. So she didn't really know like what the signs were, I guess. But eventually, I guess she was like looking through her stuff and she found evidence of a makeshift crack pipe. So she finds this makeshift crack pipe and she has a feeling that it's drug related. She doesn't know. She's not sure. So she takes a photo of it and I guess she posts it on Reddit and she asks like on Reddit, like, what is this? She had a feeling, but she wasn't sure. And people had responded that it was indeed a DIY crack pipe. So, not great. So their relationship became strained with arguments that sometimes got intense. She said it never got physical until one day when Kelly tried to search his backpack for drugs. She's just checking, and Wade kind of found out and he got really pissed. So she was in like a room with the door shut and I guess he kicked in the door and hit her or attacked her, and then she threw a table at him. Not great. But this is like the first time things got physical between them. And then things really seemed to get worse from here. So I guess at this point, Wade started to steal from Kelly. I guess he like stole her gun and then he ran away to Texas and like didn't even tell her. Kelly, she had reported this to the police because he stole her gun, but like nothing came of it. They did nothing really. Despite their issues, they made up several times because, as Kelly admitted, this is what she said, this guy's hot and I'll do anything to keep him around. Now you can judge, but there's a lot of people in that situation where you're just like, you don't have any self-worth, and you're like, well, this guy's hot and I'll never get someone hot. So I'll just put up with it. But really, once you get away from it, that's when you realize like, oh crap, what was I doing? I get it. I'm not judging. I mean, she said that, she was stupid, but at the time she was just not making good choices. But letting him back into her life, she later realized was just a huge mistake. On February 18, 2019, Wade's behavior took a terrifying turn. Wade and Kelly got into like some kind of heated argument. Somehow it leads to Wade kidnapping Kelly. He threw her into the trunk of her own car and then drove to the Florida Keys, which was about 3.5 hours away, with her in the trunk. During this, he like beat and sexually assaulted her. He binded her up with her own clothes. He stuffed leggings in her mouth to gag her. It was pretty intense. At some point, he like bit her lower face. He scratched her neck. And apparently in the struggle to get her into the trunk of the car, he broke her foot by slamming like the door on it. So he's got her in like the trunk, whatever, and he's driving like recklessly down the I-95. Allegedly, he's like speeding, weaving through traffic, driving like a psycho. During the drive, I mean, it's 3.5 hours. At some point, he got hungry. So he pulled into a McDonald's drive-thru and ordered food with her still in the trunk. Jeez Louise. So inside the car, Wade had disabled the OnStar system. That little thing that you talk to, OnStar. Is that still in cars? I forgot about that. I don't have OnStar. I have a Kia. But just in case, like, she tried to, I don't know, take it, like, use it, talk to it. And then I guess he, like, took her phone and quickly sold it for crack. And then when they reached the Keys, it was, like, around 4 a.m., Wade had met up with another woman, and he let Kelly go. Thank God, right? He lets her go. I guess he gave her the keys to the car so she could drive back. That part I was like, what? Okay, I mean, I'll take it. It's better than him going psycho and doing something crazy, But, okay. So Kelly, she drives back to Palm Beach County and she went straight to the hospital. The hospital, they documented the lacerations on her wrist, the bite marks. She had a busted lip, and then they took a sexual assault kit. Now, after this, Kelly, she wanted to press charges, but based off of my understanding, it seems like the police out there are freaking idiots, because like either the evidence was lost, ignored, or somehow insufficient, and like nothing came of it, which makes no sense because she had all these documents showing that like what he did to her. Kelly kept some of like the photos of her injuries on her phone, but police were unable to locate the photos that they had taken at the hospital. Like they took photos and stuff and then they just like deleted them. They're literally so dumb. This whole story is about how dumb these police are. Sorry, but they are. The case ended up becoming inactive because there were no witnesses, and technically, because they lost it all, no evidence. And I guess at some point they did go to Wade and they questioned him about these allegations. And Wade told police that he had tied Kelly up in the back of her car because she was, quote, into that kind of thing. So after that, like, police were like, well, all right, well, okay, checks out. And that was it. So after the incident, Kelly and Wade, I believe they officially like ended it. Pretty positive. But, you know, for Wade, he continued on with his violent behavior. It was said that he dated like several other women where he like had abused them, or this was violent, you know? When I was reading about this, they said that at some point, allegedly, he may have dated a guy, and at some point he had stabbed this guy. It's not funny. It's just like awkward because that was all the information I could find. So like he may have dated a guy and stabbed him. And then moving on. I was like, okay, all right. What was that about though? Just not any information I could find. So by October of 2019, Wade was dating a woman named Melissa Montanez. And just follow me on this journey because I had a lot of questions. I was like, what? This doesn't make sense. But just this is what happened. Okay. On October 6th, Wade and Melissa, they're dating. They decided to go out to the club in Fort Myers, and it's called Buddha Live. Buddha Live. And while they're there, Wade, he meets this guy named Jason Shepard. Now, I guess they did not know each other before this evening, Jason and Wade. But the two seemed to hit it off. I'm sure it's something drug related, in my opinion, allegedly. I don't know. But like this Jason guy, he invites Wade and Melissa back to his place. Melissa's like, I don't want to go. Like, I don't know this guy. I don't want to go. So she's like, no, I'm not going. Well, Wade, he really wanted to go and he did not like her answer. So he's like, you know what? Fine. And he ends up taking Melissa's car and like technically stealing it. So he steals her car. And then he meets up with this woman named Christine Melton and her friend Stephanie Johnson. But Wade introduced himself as Junior to the Stephanie girl because he didn't know that Stephanie girl. He knew Christine. Not sure how they knew each other, but whatever, that happened. It was said that Christine and Wade, they had been attracted to one another and were quote unquote intimate. So the next morning, he like stays the night, probably... I'm assuming here, maybe doing drugs. I don't know. The next morning, Wade tried to drive Christine and Stephanie back to Cape Coral where Christine had lived. I guess, well, it was said like he was having a really hard time driving the car he had stolen because it was manual and it wasn't an automatic. So he's like, you know, trying to shift and it's not going so well for him. But they get to Christine's house a little later than they had planned. And Stephanie, the friend, she's like, hey, I gotta go. I gotta take my kid to school and then I gotta go to work. So she leaves. So we don't really know what went down, but something went down. Because what we do know is that shortly after Stephanie left, Wade strangled Christine to death. I know. I was like, what? He like tied her up with her own clothes, strangles her, and then he left the crime scene. And he takes Christine's car because he hates that other one that he has to shift with. So he steals her car. And then Wade, he makes a phone call to his girlfriend, Melissa, around 8 a.m. So at first, like, Melissa's not answering. And then about an hour goes by and Wade, I guess, is still calling her. And Melissa answers. And, like, obviously, she's pissed, right? She's like, what the F? So they have, like, a pretty heated argument over Wade stealing her car. And he then drives to her workplace, and it was in like downtown Fort Myers, and he's driving Christine's black Nissan Versa. So he gets to technically his girlfriend's place of work. When he got there, he like tries to drag Melissa into the car, and she's resisting. So then he tackles her, he beats her, he chokes her, he then drags her up the stairs to her business, pins her against the wall by her throat. So awful, right? So I guess once he's got her pinned, he's punching her in the face and just beating her. And I guess he punches her hard enough that she actually starts to bleed pretty heavily. And this kind of caught him off guard. I think it was like a moment where he maybe came back to reality, had like a moment of clarity, because he's like, oh shit. So he pauses. But this pause gave Melissa a chance to like duck under his arm and escape. So she takes off and she like locks herself in a room, I think it was. But she gets away. So when she gets away, Wade just decides to get back in that Nissan and drive off. Wade's violent spree didn't end there. He returned to Cape Coral sometime between 9:30 and 11 a.m. So when he's driving, this is when he spots a woman named Diane Ruiz. She's walking to work at the Moose Lodge. And I guess Wade spots her and he like pulls over and he's like, hey, I need directions. Can you help me? I don't know. He somehow convinces her to like get into the car with him and help him. So she does. So he gets her into the car, and then after that, Wade then strangles her. And then he goes to like an empty parking lot. It's like near a Sam's Club, where he tosses her out of the vehicle. And I guess after that, he realizes that she's still alive and she's breathing. So Wade then ran over her multiple times. You know, he backed up, went forward, backed up. He did that until, quote, she looked like spaghetti. Now this was according to like an interview he did with detectives. Not at a Sam's Club. Now, it's not clear to anyone as to why Wade had killed Diane. There's speculation, you know. Many believe like it was because he wanted money to like try and get out of town, so he was like gonna rob her or something. But again, it's just unclear. Now, at this time, police, they were looking for Wade because of the attack on Melissa. She had gone like called police, you know, she was attacked, right? So they're looking for him. And that's when they find him. He's parked in the car, shirtless, at a Joe's Crab Shack in that stolen black Nissan. So police approach him, they go up to him, and this is, again, the police, they're just dumb. They're walking up to his vehicle, and I guess Wade just like sees them, and he rolls up the window, and then he just drives away. He literally just drove away. And they're like, well, we tried. Yeah, they didn't even go after him. They just let him go. So bizarre. So Wade takes off. Maybe he's getting a little paranoid knowing that the police are kind of like, they're getting close, right? So he's driving and he spots a home that seems to be empty. Now he breaks into this home by removing the screen and glass from the window. And he's able to get in. The owners, they were out of town, so it was like, okay, good guess. And when he's inside, he drank several White Claws from the fridge. He ate some food, and then he even like changed his clothes. He then contacts his biological father. He calls him up, Stephen, and I guess he breaks down. According to his father, Stephen, when Wade had contacted him, he said that he needed help with something he had done and couldn't take back. Wade went on to say that there were 2 people gone and that they would not be back, ending the call with like, I'm a killer. If you're on the phone and someone says that, what are you gonna do? I don't know. I'm like, wrong number. So his father, Stephen, said like at first he didn't believe him because Wade was a bit of a storyteller, you know? But Wade had like continued to describe to his father like what had happened, saying that he had, quote, choked that bitch, and that he, quote, stayed in the house a while, rolled her up, and was going to try to put her in her trunk, but he couldn't lift her, and that he felt like the rigor mortis had like started to set in, end quote. Stephen later told investigators that his son didn't seem to show like any remorse, and when he was on the phone with him, he actually kind of sounded excited. Oh God, I know. Wade, I guess, was originally calling his dad to ask if his dad could like call and get him an Uber out of town. So Steven had asked Wade, like, okay, yeah, like, what's your location? You know, like, send it to me and I'll get you an Uber. But instead of, sending that location to get him an Uber, he actually sends the address to the U.S. Marshals. Good for him, Steven later said that he felt a little conflicted, about turning Wade in. He knew it was the right decision because most likely Wade would do it again. But, it's your kid. I'm sure it's very confusing. That same afternoon, Christine's friend, she was contacted by the police about they had found her car. And she felt like something was up. She's like, something's got to be wrong. So fearing for her well-being, Cape Coral police, they forced their way into her home. That's when they see like a large bundle of bedding and clothing in the hallway near a bedroom. And like when they look inside, it was Christine's body. So police did not initially connect Diane to Wade, but she was reported missing not long after because she didn't show up to work. And no one had known where she went, right? So she was reported missing. And then on October 8th, police, they had searched this wooded area where Diane was last seen walking to work. But, it led them nowhere. By the next day, it became clear to police, based off of Wade's father's testimony, that Wade was responsible for Diane's disappearance. On October 10th, police had checked the empty parking lot near the Sam's Club because police noticed a vulture was circling the area. I know, I was like, okay, vulture. Putting the pieces together there. But they see this vulture and they're like, we should go over there. And when they got there, that's when they found Diane's body. So on November 19th, 2019, Wade Wilson was being charged with premeditated murder of the two women. So Wade, he gave different interviews where he argued that he did not kill them, but then he did interviews with police and he told them that, okay, maybe I killed them. So I was like, okay. His defense later would argue that he was heavily drugged, or as his attorney told the court, he was, quote, whacked out of his mind. That's why he did it. On September 20th, 2020, while awaiting trial, stupid ass Wade over here, he tried to escape from prison. It didn't work. Wade and his cellmate, they had planned a whole escape plan, And they even arranged for a car to come pick them up around 2 a.m. the next morning. They were like, we're going to do it. Well, I guess the deputies, they were tipped off about the plan. And so they went to check Wade's cell. And while they were there, they found that the window had been tampered with. The metal frame had been removed, and there were several cracks in the security glass. It was said that Wade most likely would not have been able to escape because even with the glass removed, it would have been impossible for him to fit through the window. So they're like, we don't even know what these guys were thinking. So now on top of everything else, he was also being charged with attempted escape and criminal mischief. Now, during his time in prison, Wade had apparently joined the white supremacist gang, the Unforgiven. So this gang is primarily based in Florida, and its main symbol is an iron cross interlinked with a swastika and a Nazi SS in the center. So that's great. And as a member of the gang, Wade also received several face tattoos. This is where he gets fucking covered, okay? And all of the tattoos are just straight up racist, and there's not much else you could say about it. And it's just gross. So while in prison, he got numerous face tattoos, neck tattoos, and he honestly looks like the Dollar Tree version of the Joker, which is actually really fitting because he got "Why So Serious" and "Ha Ha Ha" tattooed around his left eye. Yeah. Now, Wade's attorney first had asked him, hey, maybe you can cover up those tattoos with makeup in court, But then he realized that makeup was not going to cover the tattoos. So the attorney was like, okay, we'll work with it. It'll help us argue for insanity. Yeah. Covering tattoos is not easy. So Wade's trial had started on June 10th, 2024, not that long ago. And he was being charged with first-degree murder of Christine Melton, grand theft, battery, first-degree murder of Diane Ruiz, burglary, and theft. Wade exercised his Fifth Amendment rights, and he decided not to testify. I mean, what was he going to say? But tons of witnesses came forward with their testimony of what happened that night. And, you know, all signs are pointing to guilty. So after 2 hours of deliberation, the jury found that Wade was guilty on all 6 counts. So 9 out of the 12 jurors, they had recommended that Wade be put to death. And Florida only requires 8 out of the 12 jurors to recommend a death sentence. So he qualifies. The sentencing for Wade Wilson is scheduled for August 27, 2024, so coming up. But he's been asking for like a new trial. He was arguing that the state did not sufficiently prove that Wade had possession of Christine's car. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. You know? Also, on top of that, Wade might not even get the death penalty because, like, this whole law about having 8 out of 12 jurors recommend a death sentence, it got passed after Wade was charged with his crimes. So they think this might cause, like, a holdup. So it might not happen on August 27th because of these challenges, but we'll see. We'll see. Hold on, let me put on my mascara and, like, a lip. Be right back. Woo! All right, so that is the Wade Steven Wilson case. It's worth mentioning. Remember Kelly? It was Wade's his ex-girlfriend. She is on TikTok, came across this, and she's like sharing a lot of things, pretty much how the system like failed her, right? So I will link her TikTok down below if you want to like check out her story pretty much. If you want to hear about how she got fucked up and how the system failed her. Shit, man. His sentencing will be coming up. We'll see what happens. He might get the death sentence. He might not. Either way, he's not hot. He's disgusting. And I hope he stays locked up forever. Sorry. Other than that, I don't know. Let me know down below if you have any stories or cases you want me to talk about. I'm always looking out in the comment section to see what you guys are saying. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. You be safe out there, please, and you make good choices. And I will be seeing you guys later. Bye.